Hello, my friends! Welcome to story time. Let's sing a hello song. Hello, friends. Hello, friends. Hello, friends. It's time to say hello. Wonderful job. All right, let's sing 5 elephants in the bathtub. Are you ready? 1 elephant in the bathtub, going for a swim. Knock, knock, splash, splash, come on in. 2 elephants in the bathtub, going for a swim. Knock, knock, splash, splash, come on in. 3 elephants in the bathtub, going for a swim. Knock, knock, splash, splash, come on in. 4 elephants in the bathtub, going for a swim. Knock, knock, splash, splash, come on in. 5 elephants in the bathtub, going for a swim. Knock, knock, splash, splash, they all fell in. All right, wonderful job. Are we ready to read a story? We have some fall stories to read now that the weather is getting very nice outside. This first story is called Sophie's Squash. One bright fall day, Sophie chose a squash at the farmer's market. Her parents planned to serve it for supper, but Sophie had other ideas. It was just the right size to hold in her arms, just the right size to bounce on her knee, just the right size to love. I'm glad we met, Sophie whispered. Good friends are hard to find. At home, Sophie used markers to give her squash a face. Then she wrapped it in a blanket and rocked it to sleep. When it was time to make supper, Sophie's mother looked at the squash. She looked at Sophie. I'll call her Bernice, Sophie said. I'll call for a pizza, said her mother. After that, Bernice went everywhere with Sophie, to story time at the library, to visit other squash at the farmer's market, to practice somersaults by the garden. Every night, Sophie gave Bernice a bottle, a hug, and a kiss. Well, we did hope she'd love vegetables, Sophie's mother told her father. Shh, Sophie said. Bernice is sleeping. Sweet pea, Sophie's mother said one morning as they made their blueberry waffles. Bernice is a squash, not a friend. If we don't eat her soon, she'll get mushy and gross. Let's bake her with marshmallows. Won't that taste yummy? Don't listen, Bernice, Sophie cried. That afternoon, Sophie's father took her shopping. Sugar beet, he said, Bernice is a squash. Why don't you pick a nice toy to play with instead? But the trucks were too hard and the dolls were too soft. Sophie clutched Bernice tightly. No thanks, she said. I have everything I need. After supper, Sophie's parents called a family meeting. Bernice napped in Sophie's lap. Why don't we donate Bernice to the food pantry before she rots? Her father suggested. Sophie shook her head. Bernice will last forever. Bernice seems a little blotchy, said Sophie's dad on the way to the library one day. She looks perfect to me, Sophie replied. At story time, some kids pointed and stared. What is that spotty thing? The boy asked. Her name is Bernice, and she's a squash, Sophie said, with freckles. Maybe Bernice should stay home next time, Sophie's mom suggested. Why? Sophie asked. She wasn't the one being rude. Still, as winter neared, Sophie noticed changes. Bernice seemed softer, and her somersaults lacked their usual style. Visiting friends will cheer you up, Sophie said. At the farmer's market, squash were everywhere. Firm, shiny squash. What keeps a squash healthy? Sophie asked a farmer. It's simple, really, he said. Fresh air, good, clean dirt, a little love. Well, Sophie thought, I have all of that. At home, Sophie cleared leaves from Bernice's favorite spot. She made a bed of soft soil, tucked Bernice in, and kissed her goodnight. Get better soon, she whispered. That night, while Sophie slept, the wind whistled and tiny snowflakes fell. When she awoke, the world was covered in white. Do you think Bernice is cold out there? Sophie asked her mother. I'm sure she's warm and cozy under her snow blanket, her mother replied. Sophie gazed out the window all morning. She was still there in the afternoon when her father came home with a surprise. You need a new friend, he said. Meet Ace. Ace was nice, but boring. He just swam around in his bowl. During the long winter, Sophie discovered that Ace was a superb silent reader who did fabulous flip turns, and he always listened politely when she talked about Bernice. When the snow finally melted, Sophie rushed to the garden. The only thing there was a small green sprout. It looked strangely familiar. "Bernice," Sophie said, "how was your winter?" After that, Sophie, Ace, and Bernice ate lunch together every day. One bright summer morning, Sophie somersaulted across her yard, landed by the garden, and stared in disbelief. Bernice had grown 2 tiny squash. "Wow," Sophie told them, "you look just like your mom." Soon, Bonnie and Baxter were just the right size for Sophie to hold in her arms and bounce on her knee. Just the right size to love. The end. Wonderful listening. Let's sing If You're Happy and You Know It. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, then your face will surely show it. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, stomp your feet. If you're happy and you know it, stomp your feet. If you're happy and you know it, then your face will surely show it. If you're happy and you know it, stomp your feet. If you're happy and you know it, shout hooray, hooray! If you're happy and you know it, shout hooray, hooray! If you're happy and you know it, then your face will surely show it. If you're happy and you know it, shout hooray, hooray! If you're happy and you know it, do all 3, clap, clap, stomp, stomp, hooray! If you're happy and you know it, do all 3, clap, clap, stomp, stomp, hooray! If you're happy and you know it, then your face will surely show it. If you're happy and you know it, do all 3, clap, clap, stomp, stomp, hooray! Yay, wonderful job. Let's sing 40 Years on an Iceberg. 40 years on an iceberg over the ocean wide. Nothing to wear but pajamas, nothing to do but slide. Whew! The wind was cold and icy, the frost began to bite. I had to hug a polar bear to keep me warm at night. Oh, 40 years on an iceberg over the ocean wide. Nothing to wear but pajamas, nothing to do but slide. Whew! The wind was cold and icy, the frost began to bite. I had to hug a polar bear to keep me warm at night. Yay, wonderful job. Let's read another story. This one is called Aw Nuts. Squirrel loved acorns. He would roast them, he would toast them, he would grill them, he would chill them. Every fall, Squirrel would collect acorns. One day he saw the most delicious looking acorn he had ever seen. He had to have it. He pushed, he shoved, until it finally fit. But then, kaboom! Aw, nuts, he said. Poor Squirrel, his acorns were gone. But then he heard it. It was his prized acorn, bouncing down the street. Boing, boing, boing. Grabbing his sneaker, Squirrel ran after the acorn as fast as he could. Until he lost a shoe. Aw, nuts. So Squirrel jumped into a taxi. Follow that acorn. But the taxi ran out of gas. Aw, nuts. Luckily, on the same corner was a pogo stick. I have you now. Not as lucky, Squirrel bounced right into a manhole. Aw, nuts. A truck was passing by, so Squirrel grabbed hold of it. But the truck brought him all the way to Bucksnort, Tennessee. Aw, nuts. From there, he rode a dog that chased its tail. He hopped into a boat that sprang a leak. He jumped on a horse that threw him off. He hitched a ride on a little girl's bike. Then he ended up at a birthday party. That's when he caught hold of a big red balloon. The balloon carried him high into the air where... Pop. Aw, nuts. Splat. At that exact moment, the acorn rolled to a stop. Aw, nuts! Back home, Squirrel was finally about to dig into the most delicious-looking acorn ever. And all of a sudden, a new, most delicious-looking acorn dropped from the sky. Aw, nuts! The end. Great job! Was that a silly story? Let's sing Itsy Bitsy Spider. The itsy bitsy spider climbed up the water spout. Down came the rain and washed the spider out. Out came the sun and dried up all the rain, and the itsy bitsy spider climbed up the spout again. Let's do it. Great big spider. The great big spider crawled up the water spout. Down came the rain and washed the spider out. Out came the sun and dried up all the rain, and the great big spider crawled up the spout again. Yay, wonderful job! Let's sing our goodbye song. It's time to say goodbye to all our friends. It is time to say goodbye to all our friends. Give a smile and wink your eye. It is time to say goodbye. It is time to say goodbye to all our friends. Wonderful job, friends. Thanks so much.